Welcome everybody. This is a fantastic online parent class called Open-Minded. And this is truly about continually being in the mindset of being curious. So I'm going to share my screen for a moment. I'm so glad to have all of you with me today. So this is just a little image, Open-Minded, and I'll read the beginning again. It's online parent classes with myself, Coach Lisa Mitzel, guide gymnasts mentally and emotionally, get through difficulties with wisdom and communicate thoughtfully to increase gymnasts' health, confidence, and success. And I'm very curious always about what you would like out of this. What would be most helpful for you today or for tomorrow, right? And what's going on with your son or daughter. So I did change this a little bit. This was also part of what I showed on Sunday. What's important in today's gymnastics world? And I thought, and I had a conversation with a coach yesterday, which kind of illuminated my mind a little bit more into how I can share this information with parents. So number one now says safe gym environments with staff participating in coach education and open communication. We're talking about transparency these days. That's a big kind of buzzword, but it's very important. Positive, helpful coaching. So not critical, where it's demeaning or hurtful or always feeling urgent, because when you're working hard, you're focused, right? You're working together, and that can feel very positive and helpful. Pressure is part of gymnastics, it's part of sport, yet you can still manage that in a very positive and helpful way. Involved parents who promote, and this is something that I'm going to touch on a little bit more today, who promote, advocate, and facilitate athlete mental health and well-being. And then number two, practice self-awareness and mindfulness at home and in the gym. Teach these skills to young athletes. This is something we may not naturally think of, but we can teach self-awareness and mindfulness to our kids and role model it, role model patience and kindness. And I'm going to just drop down, trust the process. Everything good takes time. So I'm going to go more into these things, but I'm going to stop for a moment. When I talk about athlete mental health, and I was on a panel for USA Gymnastics had their national congress this year virtually, the first time ever because of COVID. And I got to be on a panel for athlete mental health and wellness. And they had another panel for just athlete health and wellness, which was more the physical side, right? Like trainers, doctors, things about their bodies. And mine was on the mental side. Karen Kogan was on the panel with me, and she's the head of sports psychology for the US Olympic and Paralympic Committee, and I know Karen. And what I noticed throughout the weekend is, it was profound actually, is that there was way more sessions, breakout sessions. They have over 150 talks and presentations over the course of a couple days. Leading with Tom Forster, who is our national team director and selects the national team members for international competition, and they works with them for training camps. I thought I had it here a second ago. There were way more talks and presentations this year than any other year on athlete health and wellness, on mental health, on, let me see if I can find the buzzwords here. Tom Forster's talk was leadership, methods for a positive gym culture. So the positive culture, healthy culture, athlete health and wellness, leadership, mental blocks, how great culture can improve your bottom line, injury, burnout, and mental illness, tough coaching or emotional abuse. So, and mental training. So there was just a lot of these buzzwords on the mental and emotional side of coaching and gymnastics and how we can create a positive, healthy culture in the gym. So I just want you to know that USA Gymnastics and other organizations are starting to pop up as well. They really are focusing much, much more on athlete health and wellness, and the mental side is primary, more so now than ever before. So I'm going to share my screen with you again, and this is, let me see here. Sorry for a second. Let me see here if I can bring this up. That's the meeting information. All right, here we go. So this is USA Gymnastics website. You can see usagym.org is at the top. And you do not need to be a member to find this page. And this is the link that I gave you. Okay, this is Athlete Health and Wellness. And I want all parents to be able to view this. This is new. Matter of fact, on the top, on the very top of the page, it says women, men, rhythmic, acrobatic, TNT, etc. And underneath that, it says news, athletes, health and wellness. This is something that has never been on the USA Gymnastics page before. I'm not sure the exact month when they created this page, but it's fantastic and long overdue. So again, any organization, any club these days, any club owner, any head coach should be in tune and facilitating these types of practices and information. And then down here, they've got some webinars. There's references to documents. This is on nutrition, and the USOPC, US Olympic and Paralympic Committee, has some information on nutrition. And then below that, mental health. Now, there is a term here that says mental toughness in gymnastics, and I'm going to stop sharing the screen. I am a big advocate of awareness, okay, self-awareness, awareness, and really teaching the kids about being aware of their thoughts and feelings. When you talk about mental toughness, that word tough, I'm not a big fan of the mental toughness, only because there is so much evidence these days that the kids are, as soon as they hear that they're not mentally tough, then what is the opposite? Then they're weak. And this promotes and creates a lot of more tension that they're failing, they're not good enough, I'm not tough enough. And this is one of the things that has just been prevalent in gymnastics in particular. And the kids are such a young age. I mean, your kids, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, and they're trying to do, whether it's a cartwheel on high beam, which can be very scary at first, or a series, a back handspring on high beam. And if they're not focused, does that mean that they're weak? No, that means that they're still learning how to focus. They're learning how to manage distractions, right? So, so I just want to help you just consider that how much do you use that word, or do you buy into them being mentally tough, or what I say is mentally aware, okay? Are you aware of your thoughts right now? Are you aware of your feelings right now? Okay, well, let's practice that, okay? Now, for parents, mindfulness is something that I'm wondering who here has any experience with mindfulness. And I have this in Focused and on Fire as one of the mindsets there's 8 mindsets. If you have the book, I think it's in chapter, let's see, present moment awareness is in chapter 2, and I'm going to just read the beginning of that. So this is focused in on FIRE, The Athlete's Guide to Mental Training and Kicking Butt. I have 2 books out. This is the first one, and this is very friendly for the kids and lots of illustrations. Present moment awareness is being in tune with your body's position, movement, and your thoughts and breath as it's happening. It's being focused on yourself now, not in the past, not in the future, not what your mom just said, not what your coach will say, just what is happening with you right now. The benefit is that you'll possess the ability to get calm and manage pressures, distractions, worries, doubts, and fears. Okay? As you focus on the present moment, your mind only takes in what you are doing right now. So it goes on, but that's the present moment awareness. And that's something that when you are aware that you're feeling tense as a parent, you can even say that. We can teach this to our kids. Wow, I'm feeling really tense right now. My shoulders are tight. My jaw feels kind of clenched. And then you can just say, let's take a breath together. Let's go lay down and hug a pillow. We can teach them how to be aware and then how to say it and how to transition and shift. And I think that's one of the most important things that we as parents can do is teach them about awareness. Now, I'm just going to notice that several of you, your videos are not on. That's perfectly fine. If you can put them on, it's in the bottom left corner. It'll say start or stop video. And that can be very helpful for me to see that you're here and see your responses, or at least your facial expressions. There we go. Thank you. There you are. And then for mindfulness. So anybody here want to put in the chat or raise your hand or anything? You can unmute. I welcome you to, so I can hear you on the bottom left corner. And I'll call you if I see you raising your hand. But to use mindfulness is something that is really big in sports right now. Professional basketball players are using it. Professional football players are using it. The Seattle Seahawks has a guy named Michael Gervais who is just fantastic, and he teaches them. And there's many benefits to mindfulness, many. Has anybody here practiced it or used it or know about it? Yes, Ewan?
I was going to share that my daughter's school for the past couple of years, now that we're doing distance learning, they were doing a mindfulness class for all the students in the whole school.
Wow.
Great, because they're learning to breathe. I mean, it was only like 30 minutes each week.
Mm-hmm.
Help them to, so it was not like specific yoga. It wasn't very specific yoga, but it was more like teaching them to be aligned, and they had a journal
Mm-hmm.
to say, how do you feel and what happens when you feel angry and how is your expression like inner. So they were just kind of like more in tune, like what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Be in a present and learn to calm and do your quiet place.
Mm-hmm.
And all these students, they would just sit in this little mat, and then they just learn to basically teach themselves to meditate.
Yes.
Be awareness. They say it doesn't have to be in a special room set up. Like they say, if you're in the sport or if you're taking a test,
Mm-hmm.
all of a sudden getting anxiety, they're teaching them how to breathe properly.
Wow.
No, until my daughter brings home, and my son was bringing home stuff, and it's like, yep, this is what I learned. It's like, we're just breathing and counting in our head and breathing in, breathing out. I'm like, huh. But it was like, oh, that's like me doing yoga, But it's interesting, they're doing it in a way that for their level, and the curriculum was teaching them based on each grade.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad to hear that. So when I was growing up, I have 4 brothers and 2 sisters. There's 7 children in my family. And we did go to church. I grew up Catholic. The major part that I was able to learn about that as a person was the quiet time, and that prayer was a time for me to talk to myself or to be open to sort of this lovely, peaceful feeling. So that is a lot like mental training. It's a lot like mindfulness. It's a lot like meditation. And what I promote is that as a lifestyle, that if you can, whether it's dinner time, whether it's bedtime, whether it's sometime in between, whether it's morning, whenever you have the ability to create a lifestyle, okay, a habit of quiet. I encourage you to, whether it's play classical music or something soothing, meditation music, and I would write this down if you don't do this, whether you light a candle at the dinner table and have a moment of just gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most wonderful practices that gives us a sense of that we have everything we need. I have everything I need, instead of coming from a place of lacking. So that quiet time at home will be a strong reference point for your child and for you to be able to be open to struggle. When we struggle, then we can get quiet, all right? When we feel nervous or pain or anything, we can get quiet and pause. And this is something, instead of reacting, instead of being, kind of having this thought like, oh no, what's happening? That practice of getting calm is wisdom. And that's something that we can practice with our children, with our family. I think holding hands is one of the most beautiful spiritual things that you can do with your family members. Hold hands and take a breath together, okay? Something that we need to make sure that we do for our children is give them coping skills, but also giving them a sense that they can manage anything that comes to them. When we talk about the gymnastics culture, and we talk about going to a gym, I welcome your thoughts and questions, what the coaches are doing, what their philosophies are. I would ask, or maybe find out somehow with their philosophies, are they shifting? If they don't already have them, like in a parent handbook or a team handbook or something like that, are they shifting towards athlete mental health and wellness? And if so, how? What are they doing? And that's a very wonderful, curious question to ask, right? Are they, do they know about mindfulness? Let me share my screen again here. Okay, so here there's a mindfulness manual. This is on the USAG Athlete Health and Wellness page. And this is a mindfulness manual. This is available to you. This is available to every gym, to every coach, okay? And this is an introduction, and it's kind of a lot of explanation. So it's not going to actually teach you to practice it and implement it. And that's the thing that as parents we want to do. We want to practice it, we want to implement it, we want to make this part of our life, right? Now, it goes on principles, formal and informal practice, and you can do more research on YouTube. There's lots and lots of information there for doing a mindfulness practice or a sitting meditation, a walking meditation. I do that in my sessions when I teach and coach, and you can just do it for short periods of time. This doesn't have to be 30 minutes, right? Start out with 2 minutes with your child. We're going to do a sitting meditation. Get them used to the language instead of overwhelming them, and always make it playful. I have a little Buddha. This is something I think that reminds me. Melissa's smiling. She's seen my Buddha. because I've worked with her daughter and wisdom. This is something, do we talk to our kids about wisdom? I have Athena, okay? She's named, it's an owl. And why do we think of owls as being wise? Okay, some people say, well, because they have big eyes or because they stay awake all night, right? Because they can spin their head around. No, in the Greek mythology, there's a Greek goddess named Athena, and she was known for being very wise and fair. And she was often seen with an owl. You can look her up. You can look up images online, or she transformed into an owl. So these are playful things that we can use with the children to introduce and practice ways of being calm and being wise. And you can look up role models, right? Who inspires wisdom? Who inspires being calm, right? And how can that help them? All right, so when we talk about mental blocks and fears, I'm gonna refer to Focused and on Fire. And there's a chapter. Now, some people are really quite funny. They say there's a chapter called Fear. And it says, notice, manage, and conquer. And one dad came up to me at an event, and he said, you know, my daughter is really afraid, blah, 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 blah. He says, should we read the chapter on fear? And I thought, well, yes, that would be a good idea. I think he was a little bit afraid that the more you talk about it, that the worse it will get. But here's the thing. I would like you, if you don't have this in your mind or you haven't written it down, we want to normalize emotions. Normalize, okay? I highly recommend that you get an emotions chart, okay? This is one, and it says, how are you feeling today? And it has all these emojis. And your child, you can point to, you know, I'm feeling goofy. You know, I'm excited. I'm bored. You know, when we look at emotions, nervous down here, stressed, oh goodness. When we look at emotions, the kids are going to start to feel like, oh, okay, they'll notice it more. And that's the beginning of awareness, okay? And as parents, we'll notice it more. I started putting that poster around the house here so that I started to notice it more, and it's just really fun. So when we talk about mental blocks or fears, can you please, anybody, raise your hand or put it in the chat box. What are you experiencing as a parent or noticing about the mental fears that you would like maybe some help with? Okay.
So I'm going to bring up probably the elephant in the room, but our biggest thing right now is safety at the gym with COVID.
Okay.
And the fear of being exposed at the gym. Okay. So that's, you know, a lot of anxiety with, and I've talked to other moms from the team, but the anxiety of going into the gym, practice, if a kid has a mask on, doesn't have a mask on, if a coach is following the rules and wearing their mask versus yelling without their mask or pulling it down. There's a lot of anxiety over that.
Wow. So what have you been able to hear from the coaches or the owners about communicating about masks or what they're willing to do to help people feel safe?
They're following the state mandates, but
it still doesn't feel like enough. No, I see on Instagram and social media that a coach will be spotting a girl either with a mask or without a mask, or the mask is halfway on. And it's a very crazy, it's unclear how much people are really making that the highest priority. So overall, are you hesitant to have your child go to the gym? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So these are the options, you know, when we are talking about health, is that in a sport like gymnastics, it's not tennis where they're just hitting the ball over the net. But gymnastics going upside down is that they need to feel able to be 100% focused on what they're doing. Even if it's just a pressure situation, it has nothing to do with, are they actually going to crash, or the health, are they going to get COVID? But just a pressure situation and their coach is watching them, and maybe there's some history of the coach folding the arms and looking frustrated, and that triggers the child. So if the child is even, 10% focused, but usually it's more, it's usually 50%, they're usually split. They're focusing on their skill, they're focusing on the coach, they're focusing on what they have to do. Oh my gosh, it's this back and forth, right? And actually, our society today, with everything coming fast and being on social media and clicking from thing to thing, this is something. Slowing down is so important at home, okay? Creating this place of quiet and peace for moments of time, whether it's 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I encourage like a half an hour if you can. But when they are not able to focus on themselves and they're nervous about masks or COVID or somebody might get sick, then I would question, is this the right thing to do? Is to keep coming to the gym, or can we keep it simple? Can we just do simple gymnastics and not take any risks right now while we're all feeling nervous about, the safety of their health? But that's something that you may want to bring up with the coach at some point, is have a meeting or online meeting, virtual, whatever, phone. Don't text. All right. This is one of the things I wanted to bring up, is that we are such an immediate, need to convey this message right now. I want to get a quick response. And so we text. If it is important, if it is about anything related to emotions, please do not text. Even email is a little bit precarious because we can't hear the tone of your voice, right? We can it could be a misperception of what somebody really meant. Voice or in person, FaceTime, Zoom, whatever. When we have facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice, that's when we can really feel what somebody else is feeling. All right. So I highly recommend that if there is some kind of nervousness, all right, if the kids are distracted at all, that then there needs to be some level of simplifying or opting in or opting out regularly, that the coach checks in. If you're not comfortable, that's okay. I can't say anything more about whether they actually wear the masks or not. That's something that you need to decide, whether you want to put your child in that environment. But if they are distracted, mentally, and that's affecting them emotionally and their ability to focus and be safe, then the gymnastics needs to kind of come down a little bit. All right. So that they feel like they're able to. Does that help at all? Yes.
Yeah. I'm just curious to know if any of the other parents on here are having the same hesitation, because I've noticed there's some families that are sending their kids in, there's no hesitation, there's others like me, and I'm like, sometimes I feel like I'm the only one.
Yeah. And, that's another thing, is like talking from your values. If it is a value of yours, and there's a values exercise in both of my books, in the Focused and on Fire and Focused and Inspired, very simple, is to just remind yourself or identify what are your highest values: honesty, safety, patience, integrity. If these are your values, then does the gym or the coach, do they match? Do you share those values? If so, great. Speak from those values. We're both concerned here and care about their health. We really want the kids to not feel distracted, but to feel focused and to feel safe while they're doing gymnastics, and the masks are important. To speak from that is not criticizing. All right, that's one of the things I know parents are a little bit kind of nervous or hesitant, is that you don't want to say something that's going to sound like a criticism. right? And I support the coaches 100% in opening up to listening and then saying, it's really important that I feel your support. Coaches need to feel supported. All right. And that's a wonderful thing to say is I need, that, what do you need? This is what I need. What do you need? And that's you maybe starting it. Maybe the coaches are so busy, they don't always make a lot of money, and there's a lot of things that they're worried about in terms of COVID and everything. So for you to be able to say something is very helpful. You can always open that up in a very gentle, respectful way. Melissa is saying that if there's any time in the meeting, she's wondering if anybody else has their gymnasts who've experienced mental blocks, and if their gym or their coaches helps them or makes it worse. So Melissa, do you want to talk about that a little bit, just in terms of how you and your daughter felt in one situation and how it's changed now?
Sure. And Lisa, the main reason for my question is I'm really enjoying watching the shift, even though I think we've barely scratched the surface of the culture issue. So I'm just curious how much progress has been made. If, people can speak to, well, before the coaches would do this, but now we're seeing this. So I'm just curious. In our circumstance, the overall situation was just so bad, the response to my daughter's, Teresa's mental blocks, that we had to make a gym change. There was just nothing else that was going to at least get us moving in the right direction. It wasn't going to be the miracle cure. We knew that, but we at least needed to feel the support of mental training and that being part of who Reese is and how she thinks and how she's wired. And there needed to be some understanding of her and her progress, or how she handles situations, instead of it being just requested for her to perform upon command. So anyway, now Reese is she's doing phenomenal, and she still battles mental blocks, but it's how she handles them. She's not happy about them, but she has learned through working with you and reading the books and continue to practice the techniques that she's a fierce competitor. She loves to win, but when she can't for some reason explain, gosh, why can't I make my body do this? I do it all the time. Why is this an issue this week? Her response to that is I admire it, because I have to admit, part of why I joined up for This Parents is because I'm not even there to where she is, So I'm like, I almost want her to teach me what she's got going on, because she's now made it a part of her everyday. It's just her natural response now, instead of to cry and be scared and worry about what does this mean and, well, my goodness, now it's like she doesn't even think about it. It's just, okay, I try again, but she has the support that she needs to fuel that response as well, to know it's safe to do that and not to worry about what does this mean, or what if. So I find myself currently to still be stuck when I see her have struggling times, to find the right way to respond. Because I start to say, well, why are we doing this? What the links that we're going to, the links, and that's not to bring attention to that. Mm-hmm. It's just the sacrifices that we're making. It does make me continue to quit. I find myself stuck sometimes. There's days where I'm like, oh, well, we just keep trying. Okay. And other days it's like, what are we doing?
Well, thank you so much for all that. I hope that helps a little bit, just in terms of some perspective from somebody's personal experience. It is really, I see somebody saying that, somebody's got a daughter who's got a fear of falling. That's totally normal, all right? Another parent said that their daughter's a perfectionist. One parent, this is when I was in Ontario, Canada, I have 4 days of coach conference, parent education, and coaching the team with the mental training. And one parent, she said she kept showing her daughter over and over a video of a gymnast crashing on beam, because she's like, see, she got back up, she's okay. Over and over, like a leap or a flip or something, and then crash, a leap or a flip, crash. And I was like, no, I don't think we want to keep showing that. I would have nightmares. So what this is it's truly part of your role as a parent, is to instill that they absolutely can slow down when they start to feel nervous. They can slow down when they start to feel afraid. They can slow down and ask for help when they feel like they're not ready. Okay? How do you model this? How do you share this about yourself, either when you were younger or now? When you make yourself vulnerable, okay, when you tell your child and they can feel it from you, oh, I'm a little nervous right now. Could you send me some positive energy? That is such a positive way to handle that. I've done that with my children. I have 3 grown children. They're 26, 22, and 20. And even now I'll text, they don't live with me. I'll text them and say, I have a meeting, just, vibe me, send me some positive vibes, and this has been from the time that they were very young. When my youngest was 3, we always did reading time at night. That is, to me, that's magic, is having reading time. And even when my daughter was 12 and 13, we would sit on my bed together and we would take turns reading. Books, of course, that she was interested in, or something that maybe I wanted to introduce, usually novels. But, I have parents telling me that they sit down with their kids, even young, 7, 8, 9 years old, that they would read a section together, and there's really fun illustrations. And so one family, they've got 2 daughters. One is, I think, 12 and the other is 10. And a track athlete and a gymnast. And the 10-year-old, I think, is level 10. She's quite talented. And they read 15 minutes at a time. So when you say my daughter is a perfectionist, I understand. When you say your daughter is afraid of falling, I understand. So what are you doing? What would you like to do to start a new habit, okay, of getting quiet, of listening to soft music, so that they have a reference point inside themselves to notice when they start to feel anxious, they can take breaths and get calm. They can say, I am calm, I am calm, I am calm. You can take a deep breath and raise your shoulders. This is all in my books, okay? In chapter 3, Master Inner Calm and Concentration. You can inhale, shoulders up, and exhale, shoulders down. I am calm, I am calm, I am calm. Okay? Write it down. If they're up for it, sometimes they're tired of hearing us talk. I get it. They're like, la, 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 la. So then you can just dance, and say, I'm calm, make it funny, or put it on the refrigerator. Okay, buy some pretty design, a wall design that you can put up. I've got this starfish that reminds me of the ocean. Maybe whether it's a Buddha or something else, something that says calm or peaceful. We are the main source of them learning and feeling and thinking at home. So when you do this, this is the start. This is a foundation. when it comes to being afraid, I'm going to ask you to write down for yourself. This is an exercise, all right? You can help them notice the whole thing to being afraid. The whole thing of feeling nervous is noticing, all right? To be able to manage it. So this is in chapter 5 of fear. It says, become aware of signs of fear. What signs do you experience? Okay. When does it occur? I'm asking you parents right now, all you lovely mommies. Circle the ones you know and keep noticing. So you're going to just write down, all right? Understand your body's reaction to fearful or nervous thoughts, okay? So maybe you can think of a time recently or sometime when you were nervous, okay? You know yourself, right? Muscles tense up. You literally start to clench or tense up your body, right? Sometimes it's your jaw, your neck, stomach aches, butterflies. Hello. The worst butterflies when I get nervous. Not as much now. I'm 56. I'm better at managing it. Hair on your arms and neck stand up. Okay. Goosebumps, chills, sweaty hands and feet. I do this in the clinics and I read this out to the kids. I say, who gets stomach ache or butterflies? Who hair on your arms stand up? And I'll say, who gets sweaty hands and feet? And somebody always raises their hand, will go, oh, gross, and we laugh. Mind is confused, worried, or panicky. Sudden images of the worst possible scenario. That's a very popular one. Emotions feel overwhelming. Tears come and not able to talk or perform. Okay, would anybody like to just even raise your hand and say that they relate to any of these? Yes, Naeem, Christina, yes, Ewan, yes. Yeah, thank you, Kara. We all relate. We all have anxiety and fear at times. Okay, this is a normal, normalize this, all right? This is normal human experience, all right? So what we want to do is slow down, all right? Once we notice how our body reacts, and we can talk to our kids about this, all right? Notice, then you slow down, okay? I take a breath. I am relaxed. I can do this. What do I want next? Okay. So going from nervous to calm is one step. Okay. Noticing and then getting calm. The next step is, what do I want? What do I want to think? What do I want to feel? Okay. When we're talking about healthy gyms and healthy coaches, you may want to ask, how do you help my child go from nervousness to calm to focus to being ready? How do you help all the kids? You don't have to make it so personal if you don't want to. How do you help all the kids going from nervousness or being afraid to feeling calm, to feeling focused and positive, to then being ready? How do you do that? That is something we as parents are not usually prepared or we are not familiar with, these simple steps, right, of helping them with fear, anxiety, and mental blocks. Now, we're getting close to 10 o'clock. I keep it open until 10:15. It's an hour and 15 minutes, and sometimes I even stay a few minutes after if anybody wants to talk. I do a book giveaway. So I want to make sure, if you want to be part of that, tell me if you're going to be leaving anytime soon and I'll squeeze it in. All right, I'm going to share. You can do a chat. I'm going to share the screen. Now, when it comes to mental blocks, one of the greatest things we can do is we can visualize. This is, can you see the whole thing? I'm wondering if you can see the whole thing. So there's prepare, swing down, jump back, reach, hands, push off, and then finish, okay? Now, when kids get afraid, when gymnasts become afraid, we want to break down, and this is what the coach would usually do. But if you and your child have a comfortable relationship talking about any of this, okay, go off of them. Would they like, this is in my book, this is in chapter 5, and this is from a story about a gymnast. All right, I'm going to show you here. This is right in the book. All right, this is in chapter 5, and this is around a story called Paralyzed. And I was working with this little girl, a gymnast, and she was a level 4 at the time, trying to go level 5. She did go on to level 8, and she may even be higher level, not now, I'm not sure. I haven't been in touch with her recently. She was 10 years old, and she, of course, had all this wonderful talent, but she got afraid and she could not do a standing back tuck. So this story, she says she decided, I want to do a back tuck in the gym, and it was on the floor. And I had to get her desire first. Get your child's desire first. What would you like to do? Would you like to talk about it? Would you like some help? When you have a book, then it's not you, the parent, talking about it, it's the book. So let me just say that, all right? You can even, depending on your child's age and your interest in social media, you guys can even follow me, all right? I'm a lot of fun. And so it's not you, the parent, it's the book, or it's, you know, Coach Lisa Mitzel. And or somebody else that you think is really warm and friendly. Always make it positive. This is not a job. It's not, I don't give assignments, all right? I say, I suggest. And if this will help you, make you feel better, all right? Do you want confidence? Do you want to feel more confident? Yes. The 2 things they always tell me is I want to feel more confident and in control, okay? So my question is what do you do at home to facilitate that, to allow them to be in control of something, little by little, age appropriate, okay? And what do you allow them to feel more in charge? Okay, you're in charge today, or what do you want to be in charge of? Ask them. Even for a teenager, okay, what would you like to be in charge of? All right. It can be any age. All right. It can be with your spouse. It could be with the boyfriend. It could be with, a college age. What would you like to be in charge of? This is open communication. When your kids, gymnasts, start to feel more in charge and control, that builds confidence that they are intelligent, that they have the ability, and that they can communicate about it. All right. And take action. So these are the things at home and as a parent that you can facilitate. Now, when they are nervous or afraid and you want to help them with visualizing, all right? This is part of today's topic, was imagining. Who here does any kind of pretend or imagining? Could be about a vacation, okay? Could be about the next delicious dessert you're gonna have. Who does any kind of imagining or pretending with your kids? Okay, 3, 4. Okay, I highly encourage it. Nice, Naeem. What do you imagine? Anybody? You may unmute. What do you imagine? Naeem is unmuting.
Yeah, so my daughter last year, she really hated her music teacher, and I honestly didn't like the way she was teaching, and we couldn't get rid of the teacher. So she came to me and said one day, you know what, I want to send her to Alaska in a box. And I felt the same way. So I say, honey, that's really mean. And she said, I know. And I'm like, that's really mean to the kids of Alaska. Will you be so kind and put up with her for the entire year so that the kids of Alaska don't have to suffer? And she found it super funny. And she said, that's right. I don't want to be mean to them. They don't deserve that. Okay, I will have to put up with her. And I said, yeah, so next time you see her, maybe you can say something like, have you been to Alaska? Yeah. When you feel like you really, really hate her, just think about it and say, they don't deserve that. She actually went one day and said, have you been to Alaska? And the teacher was like, what? No. Something I was thinking.
Oh my God, that's precious. Yeah, it's totally normal for a child to maybe hate a teacher, and that's a very strong word. I don't usually use that word with my kids, but sometimes that's what it feels like. So you call a thing. But to use that playfulness and that humor is just lovely. You know, we could put her in a box and put her and send it to Alaska. So yeah, that is one way of using imagining or visualizing. Does anybody have something maybe a little bit more positive and optimistic? Not that wasn't just sweet and funny. Anybody else? Okay, Kara.
So we've been talking about parts of speech here, and I had the kids lay on the floor, and we were imagining, we used to live in Florida, and so I was like, imagine that we're on the beach and you're laying in the sand. I had them lay on the rug, and then in order to get them familiar with adjectives, they had to describe what they smelled, what they heard, how it felt, how the sand felt, what kind of day it was, how the sun felt on their skin. And so they had fun with that. But I've done it a few days now, and my son's like, are we doing this again?
Yeah, they will roll their eyes. And that's when you get down on a knee and you can just bless them. And,
he's older, so he's like, come on, Mom.
Yeah. Well, I have a story when my son did not want to put his clean laundry away. I got down on my knees and I was just being playful, and I said, please God, help him put, and he goes, would you stop praying to God? And then I left the room and the socks and stuff were put away. But yeah, we can imagine sensory detail. This is part of visualizing as well. What do you smell? What do you hear? What do you feel? Textures. Being at the beach, that's one of my safe, peaceful places that I think about, and I can imagine the salty air. I can hear the waves, and I can hear the birds. I can feel the wind. I can feel the sand, my feet in the sand. This is part of visualizing, so that when we talk about accuracy for skills, I honestly think that this is one of the greatest tools that gymnastics coaches, because of the risk of falling and the kids being afraid often, this is one of the greatest tools that we can teach our kids at home, is how to visualize and imagine and use your 5 senses. This gets them more in tune with themselves, okay? And this is something that we don't realize, that this is a skill. This is a skill to imagine, because when they're 4 and 5 years old and they're running around with a cape, right? And they're imagining that they're a superhero, they lose that when we become more task oriented and they get older and we feel like they need to achieve and, complete their tasks and do their chores. We lose it. So get a mom cape and run around and say, I'm super mom, I'm cleaning, I'm doing the dishes, create that playfulness and using imagination. When they are feeling nervous and afraid, it's a matter of teaching them the steps, all right? I notice I'm feeling nervous. I notice I'm feeling afraid. This is in chapter 5 on page 93. Talk to self and shift out of fear. And this really helps with fears, mental blocks, perfectionism. I notice I'm being hard on myself. I notice I'm being critical. All right. Note, this is self-awareness. Okay. This is mental awareness, right? Okay. It's okay. It's going to be okay. Instead of spinning into a hole, right? Saying okay is more than acknowledging that you're aware. You're keeping your cool because there's no need to panic, right? Nothing's wrong with you. It's normal. It's normal to be critical. We all are. It's normal to be afraid. You know, share with your child when you're critical of yourself and how you shift. How do you shift? And then pause and say, I will let go of the outcome. I will let go of the result. I'm going to be in the present moment. Okay? You are not perfect. Forget the score, forget the coach, forget, you know, that everything needs to be just right. When you're distracted, your mind is somewhere else. Come back to the present moment in the details of your breath and your body. And then you say, I can slow down. I can take a step back. You shift from noticing to saying it's okay, to saying I will let go of the outcome, to saying I can slow down, I can take a breath, I can step back. And then you connect with yourself. Yeah, Naeem has to go. All right. Can you stay for a minute for the book giveaway? Yes, she's like, yes, please. Okay, we're gonna pick a number. Drum roll, please. All right, put it in the chat. You pick a number between 1 and 50. All right, pick a number between 1 and 50. I have a number right here. I'm gonna show it to you in a second. Okay, everybody gets, if you have a book, but you know for sure you can give it to somebody who needs it, that would be fine. All right. 43, 20, 27, or 10 and 26. All right. And the number is, bam, 25. 25 is the number. So it looks like Rachel. Ding, ding, ding. Woo! And we will follow up. I'll get your address and you get to choose whether it's focused and on fire or focused and inspired. Yay, Rachel. Round of applause. It's fun to win, huh? Okay, so we're in the final minutes. Any comments or questions? I'd like to address anything that you would like. Yes, you win.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much again for a great session. But I was just going to answer the question with Suzanne, what she said about the gym being opening up and students. I just want to add, like, you know, I also had that fear with my child. Of course, my child's really, you know, she's only a level 3. But when I thought about that, we allow her to continue. You know, she goes 3 times a week because she's only level 3. Mm-hmm. But the difference is this sport is so different from any sports. My son does tennis. He was a flag football. He does flag football before. But because we talked about it and we said the safety of it, you know, they have protocols, they follow the CDC rules. But the big thing is to teach your own child to say, you know what, when you can, I know it's hard to line up when all the girls have the weight, but you keep the distance if you can, unless you know the certain girls who are your friends. But we teach her, like, we have her keep the mask on the whole time. It's not easy. Her mask, even though a lot of people do the neck one, which is not as safe. Yeah. We teach her to keep it on unless she drinks water. Not that mask is on her. And we put the mask with the filter on. So then she knows it's about who we empower. Like, we have to teach our own child the safety protocol. Keep the distance. If you touch anything, wash your hands or not. And it's like, if you don't need to drink water, I mean, you're in there for, 3 hours. It's hard. So they do need to take a sip of water, but don't touch everything else unless you have to.
Yeah, and they can keep a hand sanitizer in their bag. All right. And if you only think that they can do it for an hour or 2, maybe they do not the full practice, you know. Yeah. So that's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah. But the big thing is outweighing it. It's because she still loves to learn the skills and be back with seeing her friends. Yeah. So it's like, then you want to be in the gym. And I think she was not as nervous. It was more me as a parent. Yeah. Yeah. And when you see that and you see the love and they smile when they go into the gym, it's so worth it, even though there's the protocol. So that's it. And then the other question I was going to answer, Melissa. Melissa, you have a daughter who's much older than mine level. Mine's so young, you know, only level 3. She just moved up to level 3. You ask about the mental block. So my daughter had that when she was younger, actually, in level 2, when she just moved to level 2. What happens is she fell, and it wasn't at the gym, it was someplace else. And she actually cut her head. She had to have surgery and stitches in the back of her head.
Wow.
But when she had to be on the beam, she was terrified as a level 2. She couldn't, it was something like, she was in level 2 too long. Like she couldn't move it. And the coach didn't understand that. I have to tell the coach. But it was to the point that she realized, you're right, it's okay. I see so many girls doing it. And then I help her to visualize. I said, do you still enjoy this? Because if you do, you can get over it. And then after she realized, she took little steps at a time. And, you know, we don't even have a beam at home before. Like we didn't have it. Like the longest time I would not refuse. I'm like, nope, this is why we pay for tuition fees. I would just put a tape, a masking tape at home, duct tape at home on our carpet. And I said, this is your beam. So you would just say, she would just think about it. And I said, you know, I allow you to jump from sofa to sofa. I know it's silly, but it's to a point that then she was more comfortable. It was to a point that it was a mental block. It took a long time.
So you and I'm gonna interrupt for a second. We're really short on time here.
Okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. No. You're wonderful. So one of the things that I would highly recommend is that they don't do hardly any gymnastics at home. And at COVID, this is really hard. Only do what is simple. Only do what feels safe to both of you. Okay. And use the mental training. That's why Focused and on Fire and any kind of mental training, visualizing, that kind of thing is really important. But I've had other parents try and coach and teach, and please don't do that. Just as a note for everybody. All right, quickly, anybody else have a comment or a question? Okay, looks like we're rounding it up. You all are so brave, and I admire all of you because the mental emotional journey is complex. And as parents, it is not easy for us to think ahead, to plan out how we want to help them through, you know, struggles and challenges. Yet this is where we will allow them to feel most powerful and to really like themselves even when they're sad, like themselves even when they feel isolated, to the point that they will care for themselves, to the point that they will have tools to help manage themselves. So starting in October, which is tomorrow, the classes are going to be a small fee, sorry, $20 a parent or $30 for a couple if both mom and dad or 2 people are joining from the same household. And it's going to be twice a month, unless maybe it's holidays, and maybe it might be once a month. But I encourage you to reach out to me anytime. I would love to be a resource for you, for anybody at your gym. I also coach kids one-on-one, and I also consult parents as well and coaches. This session was really to help you understand a few things, where we're at in gymnastics today and how safety and athlete mental health and wellness is so important, and how can we as parents start to be a little bit more active or advocate and be more informed. So use those links that I gave you. There's also a parent survival guide that is there on the USA Gymnastics Athlete Health. It's worth reading. And that you understand that there's resources and tools for the mental blocks and fears and nervousness. And certainly the books are very friendly. And I encourage you to make time to sit down. And even if they're not in the mood to read, you can sit there and read it for 5 or 10 minutes and sit the book out and let them see it. You're always planting seeds. For confidence, I will talk more about self-efficacy and how to build confidence in the next session, and ways that we can facilitate at home and also encourage that with whether it's through the coach or the team, whatever your communication is. If there's a parent group, how can we create ways to build more confidence? This is about shaping their minds. This is about shaping them into happy, healthy adults. This is not just about getting a skill. Okay, this is not just about gymnastics. So in every way, I am here to help you and support you with resources. I also read a lot of other books that I will share as well in these parent sessions. And I take suggestions. So any of your ideas or suggestions, I want to be able to provide you with what you need. All right, we are just about at 10:15. I will stay on for an extra few minutes, and I'm turning the recording off. Thank you, everybody, for being part of this. I'm going to